We are live.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to the Android Guys in Brief podcast, your mobile tech news podcast. I'm going to restart that. I don't like his intro.
Yeah, I didn't either, actually. I prefer yours.
Let's use mine then. Welcome to the Android Guys in Brief podcast, the 15-minute tech news podcast that never lasts for just 15 minutes. Today is June 7th, Tuesday, 2018. Going to restart that because I did that backwards. Sorry, I'm still waking up actually.
It's also June 12th, not 7th.
Did I say 7th?
You did indeed.
Huh, I suck. Welcome to the Android Guys in Brief podcast, the 15-minute tech news podcast that never lasts for just 15 minutes. Today is Tuesday, June 12th. My name is Matt Adams, and I'm the managing editor here at AndroidGuys.com. And today we have Donovan Jessica, another one of our editors, making his first appearance on the podcast. Donovan, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good, Matt. About yourself?
Can't complain, can't complain. Lots of fun and interesting news going on today. Why don't you start us off with our first story?
Sure, yeah. According to OnLeaks and via the Forbes website, apparently we have some new rumors about the Pixel 3 and Pixel 3 XL, including a new size. The Pixel 3 is now rumored to be 5.3 inches, and the Pixel 3 XL rumored to be 6.2 inches, which is a little bit bigger. And the article complains a bit about that size, but I don't think it'll be a problem. We're going to have a notch, the now infamous notch on the Pixel 3. Google's standard front-facing stereo speakers, which are pretty rare among smartphones, but pretty standard for Pixels. And dual front cameras, which is kind of interesting. We're seeing a lot of dual sensors on the back, but not so much on the front.
That is interesting. So, has there been any mention that we'll see a notch on the smaller Pixel as well?
Not that I've seen. I've only seen the Pixel 3, Pixel 3 XL rather, having a notch, which is kind of odd. You'd think they'd want to have a uniform design.
Mhm.
How about you? Did you hear anything about that?
I haven't, but Google seems to be okay with having two different designs for their phones. Currently, the Pixel 2 has a 16 by 9 display, and the Pixel 2 XL is an 18 by 9 display. So it does seem like they're willing to mix it up just a little bit between their product lines. I just wonder, how do you think people are going to react to having a notched display on, and I think we can fairly say this, the Android flagship phone?
I think there's going to be a lot of talk about, oh yeah, they copied the iPhone X, but the other side of that is, what else are you going to do if you're trying to eliminate as many bezels as possible, but you still need to have a front-facing camera and proximity sensors and all those things? That's really the only option you have until you can find a sensor that can see through a screen.
Yeah, I'm apparently one of the minority here because I don't mind notch displays. I've always viewed the display that we get next to that notch as extra rather than that notch being taken, screen real estate taken away from us.
Agreed, totally.
So yeah, I mean I can understand people hating on it, but I don't know. I don't mind. And we're getting new Pixel rumors, which means it's almost Pixel season. So even if you don't love the phones, that's got to be exciting because Pixel season brings new phones from Samsung and LG, Apple. So we're getting close to that time of year where we're getting a bunch of new phones coming out. So that's exciting on itself.
Absolutely, it's the new standard for Android phones, which is kind of how Google means the Pixel line to be. They want it to be the baseline for Android phones, and everything else after that should be improving on it.
Yeah, and I think I don't think it's going to be as much of a problem going forward. The notch, I mean, because Google is building support for it into the OS. We've seen some kind of hacky stuff with the Essential phone. Um, but going forward, they're going to have first party support for that notch. So I think we'll see a lot of people or a lot of manufacturers use a notch, but just turn it off or give people the option to turn it off. Like I believe OnePlus does it, Honor does it. So do
Yep,
you think
agreed.
do you think people will have as much of a problem if they can just turn it off?
No, I think it'll be totally fine. And honestly, I think once people have a phone with a notch, I don't think they're going to worry about it too much. And I'm fairly certain they won't be turning it off because there's really no reason to.
Yeah. Um, the other thing that kind of struck me from this is dual front cameras. We don't even have a Pixel with dual rear cameras at this point. So, I'm wondering, what do you think they're going to be bringing, or what added advantage are we going to get from two cameras on the front? What do you think?
I mean, besides the whole adage that two is better than one, we'll see what we're seeing with the rear cameras, which is that bokeh effect, which is like the front camera or the subject is in focus while the background is out of focus, and that gives kind of a focus on the initial subject. We're seeing dual front cameras a lot in some of the Chinese manufacturers like Alcatel, and I believe Umidigi also has phones that have dual front sensors. I think it's just a natural evolution of what's already being put forth with the dual rear cameras.
All right. Well, from one exciting hardware feature to another, we're getting word now that the Samsung Galaxy S10 may have an in-display fingerprint sensor. We have seen this news comes to us from Slash Gear, and we've seen this on a couple of Vivo phones so far, but it's not rolled out to the majority of cell phones or even really any mainstream cell phones. But it looks like Samsung is going to be the first one to bring it to the market next year in the Samsung Galaxy S10. A new display from Samsung and a sensor from Qualcomm are going to make this possible. Also, we're going to get a new 3D facial sensor, but obviously the big showstopper here is that in-screen fingerprint sensor. Donovan, do you care about in-screen fingers in-screen fingerprint scanners, or is that just a novelty for you?
I think it goes kind of the same in the same category as the notch, where we're starting to see sensors that can be detected and used through the screen, which not only gives more screen real estate, but also allows for potentially thinner devices because they're integrated into that mechanic rather than having to be placed, for example, on the back of the phone in order to avoid having less screen real estate. So I think it's helpful and interesting while at the same time also yes being kind of gimmicky.
Yeah, I there are a few features on phones that kind of make me feel like I'm living in the future, and being able to just pick up my phone and place my finger on the screen and have it unlock, that is kind of one of those. Also, the first time you use Face ID and it just like nails you with having sunglasses on and your beard growing out for about 3 or 4 days, that's pretty cool too. But I really feel like in the fingerprint scanner, I can't talk today, the in the in display fingerprint scanner, um that is really going to blow people away, because it seems like many people don't really expect that. And once you show that off to people, that is going to get a rush of customers over to Samsung. Not that they need any more people buying their phones, I think they're healthy enough.
Yeah.
um, do you think that this is going to be something that's going to roll out to phones industry wide, or will this be kind of like LG, where they have the high quality DAC? That's kind of just a feature that LG does. Do you think this will just be a Samsung thing, or do you think it'll be on more phones as we go along?
No, I think we'll see it across the board, especially since the sensor is from Qualcomm and Qualcomm makes the majority of US manufactured phones. I think we'll see it be pretty common, as long as they can figure out the secret to Samsung's display compatibility with that sensor.
Very cool. All right. So what's the next story we got?
Courtesy of Android Police, we're seeing that Google Photos is getting new web tools, which is, you log into photos.google.com and you can manipulate your photos there. And these new features include the ability to manually edit photo locations, which is nice if you want to, take a bunch of photos on your vacation and manually edit the locations there. It doesn't actually modify the data within the photo, but it does modify the info about the photo, if that makes any
Okay.
sense.
Yeah. So you can just go in and search for, Malibu or, Hawaii or whatever, and it's going to pop up all of those pictures that you took there.
Exactly.
Gotcha. So Google Photos for me is kind of a game changer. And it helps me back up everything. If they can make an all-in-one tool for like photo editing too, so I don't have to mess around with Pixel or Photoshop or anything like that. I mean, that could be pretty exciting. Is Do you think we're headed in that direction, or is this just kind of just little generic tools that are gonna crop and put on some filters and stuff?
I use Google Photos pretty extensively, even for photos for the site. I love that it's just a bunch of sliders. You can move up and down and play with it. And I think, as you mentioned, it's a game changer really, because photos are one of the file types on your phone that can take up just megabytes upon megabytes of space. And even though phones are getting larger and larger capacities, it's space is still a premium. So it's important that you can back it up and let Google's servers handle it rather than your own local drive space, basically.
Mhm. All right. Well, our last story of the day. This is actually my favorite story of the day. We've talked about pixels and fingerprint scanners, but for me, this is the big one. This is the game changer. Android Central is bringing us news that Google Home is now allowing multiple actions. We saw this first shown off at Google I/O last month, and now you're able to ask Google for several different pieces of information at one time. So you can ask. I think the example they gave at Google I/O was asking who drafted Kevin Durant and something else about him, but they asked him two different things. That's a terrible example. But you could ask for the weather in two different cities, or ask for stock numbers and the weather. Pretty much, you can do whatever you want with Google now and ask for multiple things at one time. Are you a Google Assistant or a Google Home user?
I'm more an Alexa guy right now, but I definitely understand the relevance of this news, especially since you can not only ask two different pieces of information, but you can do so conversationally. So you
Yeah.
can, like, okay, Google, show me the weather for, Seattle, and turn on my air conditioning because it's really hot in California.
Yeah, it can get a little tedious when you have a couple things to do going back and forth. So I think that's a great point that you bring up. It is going to be much more conversational, much more fluid. Um, do you does Alexa do anything like this right now, where you can do multiple things at one time?
I don't think so. Not that I've experienced. And actually, the conversational aspect of Alexa is kind of limited too. Like I have an Alexa enabled car charger, and talking to it, even saying like "Take me to Carl's Jr." isn't adequate. You have to say, navigate to Carl's Jr. or I would like to go to Carl's Jr. or something like that. The limitations on the conversational aspect are pretty heavy.
I've never been super impressed with Alexa. From what I've seen, my parents have one, and some friends have them, and it seems like this is another huge step forward for Google in front of Amazon. Amazon has a lot of advantages. They were out first, and I think they advertise a little bit more, but when people see stuff like this, when you can actually have a conversation with your speaker instead of just telling it things to do, don't you think that that's going to be a complete game changer for people?
I think so, yeah. And another advantage that Amazon has over Google is Amazon is literally a retailer. So when manufacturers are looking to build in a voice assistant into their devices, they're not going to pick Google Assistant over Alexa if they intend on selling their device on Amazon, because Google and
Mm-hmm.
Amazon are currently feuding like crazy.
That's an interesting point. All right, well, we'll leave it there for today. That'll wrap it up. This has been In Brief, the 15-minute tech news podcast that never lasts for just 15 minutes. If you like what you heard today, you can subscribe from several different places. Okay, I'm gonna restart the outro. All right, that'll wrap it up for today. Nope, man, I'm really struggling today.
That's all right.
All right. Well, we'll leave it there for today. This has been the In Brief podcast, the 15-minute tech news podcast that never lasts for just 15 minutes. If you like what you heard today, you can subscribe to us on a couple different places. We're on iTunes, Google Play Music, Simplecast, Pocket Cast, Stitcher. Be sure to subscribe because we're doing something really, really special. We do special episodes called Hot Takes. Whenever something big and breaking comes out, a new phone hits the market, some popular news, we sit down, we discuss it at length, get all of the angles around the story so you can know what's going on. Also, something special that we're doing. If you head over to AndroidGuys.com right now, we're giving away both a Huawei Watch 2 Classic and a Huawei Band 2 Pro. It's free to enter. You know, we'll be selecting winners at the end of the month. All you got to do is head over there, search for it, enter. All right. Thanks for joining us. For Donovan, this has been Matt Adams. We'll catch you next time. Thank you to my daughter for slamming the door in the background. Eleanor, come here. If you slam that door again, I will take the door off. Do you understand? Go back in your room. All right.
Does she know when you call her Eleanor that she's in trouble?
Yes.